Have you ever said yes when every fiber of your being screamed no, then spent the next 3 days drowning in resentment and guilt? You're angry at them for asking, angry at yourself for saying yes, and somehow still feeling guilty about being upset. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone, and more importantly, you're not broken. Today I'm going to show you how to set boundaries without that crushing weight of guilt that makes you second-guess every decision. This is the skill that separates women who are constantly exhausted from overgiving from women who give from a place of genuine choice and joy. Welcome to Imperial Mindset, the place where women unlock their queen energy and build unstoppable confidence. I'm here to teach you that setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's sacred. It's how you honor the life you've been given and create space for what truly matters. Let me tell you about Taylor. She was the friend everyone called when they needed something. Need a ride to the airport at 5 in the morning? Call Taylor. Need someone to work your shift on short notice? Call Taylor. Need emotional support at midnight after a breakup? Call Taylor. She thought this made her a good person, but what it actually made her was exhausted, resentful, and invisible. Taylor's breaking point came when her sister asked her to cancel her first vacation in 2 years to babysit her kids because you're so good at saying yes to everything. That night, Taylor realized she had become everyone else's emergency contact but no one's priority. Sound familiar? Here's what changed everything for Taylor, and what I'm about to share with you. She discovered that boundaries aren't about keeping people out. They're about creating a container for your life that allows the best of you to flourish. Within 6 months, Taylor's relationships became deeper, her career took off because she had energy to focus on her goals, and paradoxically, people respected her more, not less. The first truth you need to understand is this: guilt around boundaries is not evidence that you're being selfish. It's evidence that you've been conditioned to believe your worth comes from your usefulness to others. But here's what the ancient Stoics understood that we've forgotten: you cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot give what you don't have. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Your boundary is an inside event, a decision about how you'll use your finite time and energy. Other people's reactions are outside events that you cannot control. The guilt you feel isn't coming from setting the boundary, it's coming from the fear of disappointing someone else. But here's a revolutionary thought: disappointing someone is not the same as harming them. Adults are responsible for managing their own emotions, including disappointment. Let me introduce you to the Empress Declaration Method. This is how you set boundaries with the authority of a queen and the grace of a diplomat. It is 4 simple steps that eliminate guilt because they honor both your needs and the other person's dignity. Step 1 is the sacred no. This isn't no, but maybe later, or no, unless you really need me to. This is no, that doesn't work for me. Period. No justification required, no elaborate explanation needed. The word no is a complete sentence that requires no defense. Victoria learned this when her mother-in-law kept volunteering her to host family gatherings without asking. Instead of the usual frustrated explanation about her busy schedule, Victoria started saying, "That doesn't work for me, but I'd be happy to help you find another solution." The pushback stopped because there was nothing to argue with. Step 2 is the compassionate redirect. You acknowledge their need without making it your responsibility. "I understand this is important to you, and I'm not the right person to help with this particular situation." You're not saying their need isn't valid, you're saying you're not the solution. Samantha used this when her coworker kept dumping last-minute projects on her desk. Instead of taking them on resentfully, she started saying, "I can see this is urgent for you. My plate is full this week, but perhaps we can discuss prioritizing my current projects or finding another resource." She stopped being the default solution for everyone else's poor planning. Step 3 is the boundary bridge. You offer an alternative that works for you, if you choose to. This isn't required, but it can help maintain relationships while still honoring your limits. "I can't do X, but I could do Y," or "This week doesn't work, but I could help next month." The key word here is choose. You're not offering alternatives because you feel guilty about saying no, you're offering them because you genuinely want to help within your capacity. There's a world of difference between giving from guilt and giving from choice. Lauren discovered this when friends kept asking her to be their wedding photographer for free because she was so talented. Instead of saying yes resentfully or no guiltily, she started saying, "I'd love to celebrate with you as a guest. If you'd like me to photograph your wedding, here are my professional rates." Some friends hired her, others understood, and the ones who got upset showed their true colors. Step 4 is the royal follow-through. You honor your boundary without apology or explanation. This is where most women falter. They set the boundary but then feel so guilty they start making exceptions. But every exception teaches people that your boundaries are suggestions, not requirements. Remember, you're not responsible for managing other people's emotions about your boundaries. You can be kind and firm simultaneously. Kindness doesn't require self-sacrifice, and firmness doesn't require harshness. Here's what I want you to understand about guilt: it's not your enemy. Guilt is actually your empathy working overtime. It shows that you care about other people's feelings, which is beautiful, but caring about someone's feelings doesn't mean you're responsible for creating only positive feelings in their lives. Grace struggled with this when she decided to stop lending money to her adult brother who never paid her back. The guilt was overwhelming because she could see his disappointment. But then she realized something profound: her lending him money wasn't helping him learn financial responsibility. Her boundary was actually more loving than her enabling ever was. The ancient philosophy of Stoicism teaches us about the dichotomy of control. You control your choices, your actions, your words, and your boundaries. You do not control other people's reactions, emotions, or decisions. When you try to control outcomes by sacrificing your boundaries, you're fighting a losing battle that exhausts your spirit. Epictetus taught that we suffer not from events themselves, but from our judgments about events. If you judge boundary setting as selfish, you'll feel guilty. If you judge boundary setting as self-care that enables you to show up better for the people you love, you'll feel empowered. Let me share the secret that eliminates boundary guilt forever. Boundaries are not about other people, they're about you honoring your own life. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you're betraying yourself. Every time you set a loving boundary, you're practicing self-respect. Think about the women you most admire. Notice how they handle requests for their time and energy. They're generous, yes, but they're strategic about their generosity. They give from abundance, not from depletion. They understand that their energy is precious and they invest it wisely. Morgan learned this lesson when she stopped saying yes to every committee, volunteer opportunity, and social invitation. At first, she felt guilty watching others take on responsibilities she used to handle. But then something amazing happened: other people stepped up. The organizations didn't crumble without her. People found other solutions. And Morgan discovered she had energy for the things that truly mattered to her. Here's your daily boundary practice. Every morning, check in with your energy levels and your priorities for the day. Before you say yes to anything new, ask yourself 3 questions. Does this align with my values and goals? Do I have the genuine capacity to do this well? Am I saying yes from joy or from guilt? If the answer to any of these questions is no, then your answer is no. You don't need to explain, justify, or apologize. "That doesn't work for me" is enough. You can be kind, you can be grateful for being asked, but you can still decline. Start small. Practice saying no to low-stakes requests, the optional meeting, the social event you don't really want to attend, the favor that's more convenient for them than necessary for you. Build your boundary muscle with these smaller exercises so you'll have strength for the bigger challenges. Remember, every queen in history understood this fundamental truth: you cannot rule a kingdom if you don't first rule your own life. Your boundaries are your sovereignty. They define the kingdom of your life and determine who gets access to your time, energy, and attention. Charlotte transformed her entire life when she realized that boundaries weren't walls that kept people out, they were gates that let the right people in at the right times. Her relationships became deeper because they were based on mutual respect rather than her constant overgiving. Her career flourished because she had energy to focus on her goals instead of everyone else's emergencies. Here's what I want you to remember: the people who truly love and respect you will honor your boundaries. The people who fight your boundaries are usually the ones who have been benefiting from your lack of them. Their upset is not evidence that you're doing something wrong, it's evidence that your boundary is working. Your guilt about setting boundaries is not a moral compass, it's a trauma response from being taught that your worth comes from your usefulness to others. But you are not a vending machine of endless giving. You are a human being with your own dreams, needs, and limitations, and honoring those isn't selfish, it's sacred. The path to guilt-free boundaries starts with one decision: choosing to believe that your needs matter as much as everyone else's. From that foundation, every boundary becomes an act of self-respect rather than an act of selfishness. Your life is not a rehearsal. You don't get extra points for exhausting yourself in service of others. You get points for living authentically, for honoring your values, and for creating a life that reflects who you truly are. Boundaries are how you build that life, one decision at a time.